Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace. Yes, day 26. Dog bites and taillights. That's what this show is labeled as. Sergeant Barros from the Dighton Police Department and Dr. Russell back on cross-examination. Hank Brennan, again, was being, and hold on a second, I got to use the bleep button, an hole. That's right. I said an a-hole. That was what he was being to Dr. Russell, again, for a great part of the morning. Ed, your thoughts on day 26. How did the defense do? How did the prosecutor do? What are Ed Wallace's thoughts? Everybody wants to know.
Well, we had a lot of fireworks today. Unexpected twists happened when Shifty Hank threw a curveball in during the testimony of the good Dr. Russell with the doggy DNA that he did not bring in during his case in chief. So that got Alessi's shorts in a bunch, and he jumped up and asked for a sidebar. And then during the sidebar, the judge removed the jury, and then they had statements from Alessi and Shifty Brennan there, where Alessi asked for a mistrial, and that was pretty exciting. I thought, again, like most of the rulings in this case, that the mistrial didn't stand a snowball's chance in hell of coming from lifeguard Bev, and as usual, she didn't disappoint. She denied. But I did find it hilarious that she allowed the testimony about the DNA to continue, even though he had not brought in a witness to enter the DNA results from the swabs that were taken from the Mass State Police Lab that was sent out to the California College, to get the animal DNA test done.
Yeah, yes, indeed. We saw more of biased Bev, Judge Beverly Canoni, again, ruling in favor of the Commonwealth, as she always has and always will. I think I counted, it was way over 20 rulings in the favor of Hank Brennan when he was cross-examining Dr. Russell and also the sergeant. So it's just interesting to see. I want to say thank you to our moderators, the replay viewers, the Patreon supporters, the channel members, the folks who buy us cups of coffee, and also the ones who leave us comments down below. So thank you to that. Thank you for giving us the thumbs up. We're just about 1,000 away from 500,000 subscribers, 500,000. When we hit that 500,000, we're going to be giving away some really cool prizes, some books signed by Ed Wallace, and a lot of goodies. So look forward to maybe this weekend, over the weekend, having some celebration with you guys, because we do it together. We don't do this. It's not just the Duty Ron and Ed Wallace show. It's the community, the Crime Time with Duty Ron community. So we give thanks and praise to you guys. You watch these trials. This is not just the only trial that we cover. We got a lot of updates with Brian Kohlberger and a lot of the different cases that we're covering. So we're going to be bringing that all to you. And again, we're in this together. This is a community. I know you guys are in a lot of different communities. Ed and I acknowledge that, but nothing is exclusive. We love to go around and support our good friends like attorney Melanie Little, the lawyer, Emily D. Baker, and all of the good ones that are out there doing God's work for 7-8 hours a day. Let's take a listen to what happened in court today. This is just a brief overview, and we got a lot to get into.
The only remedy is a mistrial with prejudice.
The motion for mistrial is denied.
Tonight, testimony back on track after the judge denies a motion to declare a mistrial. The line of questioning that prompted such a move.
I reconsidered, however, my opinion did not change.
The defense's dog bite expert doubles down on her opinion after DNA testing gets a moment in the spotlight. Plus,
what's different about this photo, sir? That taillight is completely smashed out.
A Dighton police sergeant takes the stand. More on the evidence he says looks different now compared to his initial observation. Canton Confidential, the Karen Reed murder trial, starts right now.
The defense team's dog bite expert back on the stand for more cross-examination. Good evening, everyone. I'm Glenn Jones. JC is off tonight. She first took the stand Monday to testify that she believed John O'Keefe's injuries were caused by a dog, not Reed's SUV. Today under cross, she was accused by the prosecution of changing her opinion and not having the expertise to assess John O'Keefe's injuries. Let's get out to Melanie Mendez for more on her testimony. Mel.
Well, Glenn, listen, we saw this from the defense when it came to witnesses for the prosecution, right? We saw them leaning in and pressing those witnesses. And today we saw the exact same thing, only the roles were reversed. Now it's the prosecution leaning into these defense witnesses. So this one in particular is Dr. Marie Russell. She is, of course, the forensic pathologist, the former ER doc. She yesterday on the stand said she was confident that the injuries on John O'Keefe's arm are from a dog, whether it's claw marks or bite marks. And she said they were not from a collision with a vehicle. Now, Brennan pushed back on her expertise and on her memory. It led to this.
You have any memory issues?
Oh, no.
That audible gasp setting the tone for a surprising and sometimes contentious.
Ed, what did you think of that? I enjoyed the good doctor showing some humor and pushback to Hank Brennan trying to insult her.
I like her flair for the dramatic with that that sigh. I loved it, but it was insulting, and yet you see he didn't apologize for that. He apologized for two other things yesterday, but not for this, because she is hurting his case, and he became a little more aggressive today than he was yesterday.
Hank Brennan, you earned this.
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
I'm an asshole.
Yeah, masshole, asshole.
Hey, didn't a Boston guy write that song and sing it? Right, Dennis Leary. Right, I'm an asshole.
Thank you. Okay, let's let the rest of this rip.
Of Dr. Marie Russell, the retired ER doc and forensic pathologist, has 30 years of experience. Today, prosecutor Hank Brennan questioning her experience, methodology, and opinions.
And so with no readily accepted standards in the dog bite community, you're just eyeballing it based on your personal experience with dog bites.
I don't think so. I'm using my past experience, my strong interest in dog bites over 30 years. I use standard methodology of pattern recognition and differential diagnosis.
I love her passion for what she does. She is, again, reminding the jury, Ed, that she's been studying dog bites for some 30 years. It kind of reminds me of how the same approach that you take to your work. She's so passionate about it. She does so much research. I think she's brilliant. I think that she is sharp. And Hank Brennan, it was a bad look for him to try to put her down on the stand today. What he did today was deplorable. And for the state, the Commonwealth, Massachusetts, to bring on Hank Brennan as a special prosecutor, it's alleged that he's going to earn somewhere in upwards in $1 million for this trial payments with his wages. He really showed an ugly side today, right?
Well, he always does that because he's what did I say? He's a bully and a punk. Okay, yeah. And when
that's what I want to know. What I want to know is what our live chat thinks of Hank Brennan's performance, not only today, but throughout this whole trial. This is, again, week 7. Ed, continue with your thoughts. I hate when I cut you off like that.
No, I was just going to say that Dr. Russell is a kindred spirit to me. And, I can see us working and collaborating together and having such interesting conversations. She'd be great to work with, and I would love to pick her mind about all her knowledge. She's just a encyclopedia of knowledge that she should share with the world, honestly.
Yeah. And, she's DCP, Pacific Northwest, said she's 78 some odd years old. Wow. She's sharp as a tack. And I love the way she came back at Hank Brennan when he said, do you have memory issues? I loved it. I loved it. Let's watch it again on the replay.
Surprising and sometimes contentious cross-examination of Dr. Marie Russell. The retired ER doc and forensic pathologist has 30 years of experience. Today, prosecutor Hank Brennan questioning her experience, methodology, and opinions.
And so with no readily accepted standards in the dog bite community, you're just eyeballing it based on your personal experience with dog bites.
I don't think so. I'm using my past experience, my strong interest in dog bites over 30 years. I use standard methodology of pattern recognition and differential diagnosis.
Brennan tried to show jurors Russell has changed her opinion about the injuries, but Russell stood by her testimony, saying her opinion has not changed.
Haven't you expressed an opinion that taking this alone, you would not be able to say that was from a dog bite?
That is correct. In and of themselves, they're not that specific or characteristic. However, as a group, they are highly characteristic of a dog.
Brennan questioned Russell about her investigative work, asking if she ruled out the possibility of a vehicle strike before having all the pertinent information. Russell standing by her determination, pointing out that she's treated thousands of victims in vehicle collisions and O'Keefe's injuries are not consistent.
I don't see any medical evidence that there was impact with the vehicle.
The doctor specifically detailed why.
A broken taillight in and of itself could not cause those injuries. There would have to be multiple projections from the vehicle that were lined up in certain pattern to give those parallel marks all in the same direction.
Ed,
You go, girl.
this is so like when she was testifying today, and I was listening to this because I was home today. I was doing exactly what you did. I was cheering her on because she laid out clear and concisely that the fact of the matter is that a broken shard taillight, as the Commonwealth is suggesting, would never be able to make those types of patterns. Ed, as a crime scene investigator and a DNA expert, you know, this is stuff that makes you cheer, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, in my career, I had to take a lot of training in pattern analysis. Okay, and so we can identify wounds and weapons, right? So the key component to this is examining the clothing. Now, when you look at the geometry of the defects in the clothing, there's nothing on that taillight housing or that polycarbonate that could create those geometry seen in the clothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got to remember, you have to get through the clothing to get to the skin to create those wounds on the skin. Okay. So there is nothing in there. Even like Brennan tried to talk about the little shards of polycarbonate red and clear from the taillight that were scraped off the clothing, as if those little shards could cause those injuries and create that damage to the clothing. Again, if you look at the geometry of each of those individual defects in the cloth of the hoodie sleeve, there's no way that the polycarbonate smashing and breaking, because you remember most of the pieces of the polycarbonate, the 70-something pieces, 74 pieces, were substantial in size, but didn't have any circular geometry, okay, that the defects in the clothing showed. So where's it coming from? It doesn't match.
Right. And that's the amazing part, is that when you have testimony like this, and then you see Hank Brennan doubling down on nonsense, he is going after and talking about, he was trying to corner her as it pertains to accident reconstruction. She's not an accident reconstructionist.
She said that several times.
He wasted so much time today trying to demean Dr. Russell and trying to put Dr. Russell's, her many, many years of being a police officer, being an emergency room doctor, being a forensic pathologist. He tried to demean her on the stand so many times for so long. It was just disgusting look.
And you could see his real true self during the arguments for the mistrial and how he was attacking her and the nasty things that he was saying and speculation and masquerading as science and all of this nonsense. He's doubling down on stupid because that's all he's got. He's just smoking mirrors and he's a bully and he's a punk and he's in your face and hostile.
Yeah, we're no body language experts, and this is also the side for Karen Reed, the people. But look at how this woman is looking at him. This woman is like, this is girl power 101 right here. She's like looking at him like, you are a pig. You're going after this doctor for just nonsense. And the look on this lady's face, I don't know. Let me know in the chat what you think.
I mean, if he thinks he's smarter than the good doctor, he is nuts.
Yeah, he is definitely nuts. So let's take a listen to the rest of this, because we go on to talk about Sergeant Nicholas Barros from the Dighton Police Department, a good police officer, sergeant, a supervisor, a guy who is looking to come onto the stand and tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help him God. And he did it. Ed, go ahead.
Ron, one last point before we move on to that, Sarge. You'd think he would have learned his lesson, Brennan, that is, after on one of his many redirects with the good medical examiner, that, towards the end, he goes, and did you know this? And did you know that? And did you know this? And did you know that? And did it change your opinion? And right. She was like, no. And he did the same thing to Dr. Russell. She goes, and did you know this? And did you do that? Did it change your opinion? No.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is worse than our first prosecutor, and he's standing right next to him or sitting right next to him. So it's no different. This guy is a real piece of work, and he really was on full display today. My head was exploding, and I was almost saying to myself, I wish I was at work so I didn't have to watch all of this sitting down.
Ron, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting a different result.
Correct. Repeating the same behavior over and over again, looking for the same. And here it is, right here. Let's let the rest of this play, Ed, and we'll get on with it. But look at that lady. Look at her. I wish I knew who she was, but look at that. Look says it all right there.
If she ruled out the possibility of a vehicle strike before having all the pertinent information. Russell standing by her determination, pointing out that she's treated thousands of victims in vehicle collisions, and O'Keefe's injuries are not consistent.
I don't see any medical evidence that there was impact with the vehicle.
The doctor specifically detailed why.
A broken taillight in and of itself could not cause those injuries. There would have to be multiple projections from the vehicle that were lined up in certain pattern to give those parallel marks all in the same direction.
Dighton Police Department Sergeant Nicholas Barros was next to testify. He responded to Reed's parents' home when troopers went to collect Reed's SUV. He testified that there was a piece of Reed's taillight missing at the time.
Can you tell us what that description is?
There was, it was damaged. The taillight was damaged, but there was a crack missing. That middle section was intact when I was there.
And that is, again, the line that the jury, the fact finders, the jury are what matters here. Not what you think, Ed, not what I think, not what anybody else thinks, not what any talking head thinks. But that statement right there, what he just said here, we'll listen to it again, was powerful.
Yes, and he was an officer outside of that jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside the control of that jurisdiction by that district attorney's office, Morrissey's district attorney's office.
Let me break it down for our audience. Sergeant Nicholas Barros, 14-year veteran of the Dighton Police Department. He came on the job in 2011. That's when I retired. So 14 years. He had no connection or no knowledge of who Police Officer Brian Albert is. No connections to any Alberts. No connection to Trooper Michael Proctor, former disgraced, fired Trooper Michael Proctor. the worst scum of the earth. That guy is a piece of, you know what? Hold on. All day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Piece of shit. Oh, wait, I was supposed to bleep out the shit. No connection to Brian Higgins, ATF agent. And that's what makes this, and this is in your face, people. This is, it doesn't get any better than this. This is a guy who has no connections to the dirt, to the filth, to the loaf, the bottom feeders. So his testimony, powerful. And this line that we're going to listen to, enormous.
He responded to Reed's parents' home when troopers went to collect Reed's SUV. He testified that there was a piece of Reed's taillight missing at the time.
Can you tell us what that description is?
There was, it was damaged. The taillight was damaged, but there was a crack missing. That middle section was intact when I was there.
Jackson then showed the court a photo of the vehicle being towed from Dighton that shows a large red portion of the taillight still intact. Then showed him a picture of the taillight in the Sally port at Canton PD with the entire casing gone.
Is this the condition of the right rear taillight when you showed up at the Reed household?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Ed, I saw you kind of licking your chops in the back.
Dun, dun. Yeah, that was that made for TV moment right there. Absolutely not. Okay. Again, they couldn't control this guy. They had nothing on him, and so he told the truth. And this Sergeant Uri is what integrity and honor looks like in law enforcement.
Thank you very much. Something that he has not displayed on the stand, Sergeant Uri Buchanan, and something that I would say he is not displaying in his day-to-day, because if he is acting like this with the whole world watching him on the stand, imagine what Sergeant Uri Buchanan is doing when no one's watching. And we all know that the Massachusetts State Police, the Norfolk County Homicide Squad, they're running amok. There's no supervision because the supervisors themselves are fucked because they don't supervise jack shit. So that being said, we'll listen one last time and then we're going to move on to some of the questions from the audience.
Can you tell us what that description is?
There was, it was damaged. The taillight was damaged, but there was a crack missing. That middle section was intact when I was there.
Jackson then showed the court a photo of the vehicle being towed from Dighton that shows a large red portion of the taillight still intact. Then showed him a picture of the taillight in the Sally port at Canton PD with the entire casing gone.
Is this the condition of the right rear taillight when you showed up at the Reed household?
Absolutely not.
Under cross, Brennan pressed him on his report, prior testimony, and what he witnessed.
Did you ever see them approach and touch the rear taillight of the defendant's Lexus?
I did not.
Karen Reed on her way out of court.
What sort of stood out for you?
That the taillight was not completely smashed. I think the word the independent cop, as a prosecutor himself called him, was it was not completely smashed in or busted in at 3 p.m.
Somebody asked, what channel is this reporting? Here's the comment. My cat's name is Karen. Right at the bottom here where my cursor is, it tells you.
NBC 10.
Yeah, it plays the whole time. So
as it went into state police custody, that's all that matters.
All right, so there you have it from Reed leaving court today. Now, listen, Barros finished his testimony before court wrapped for the day, so we can expect to hear from a new witness on the stand first thing tomorrow morning. Glenn, back to you.
Melanie Mendez at the courthouse.
I got to say something, though. You know, it's the height of hypocrisy for Brennan to attack this officer who is in his own jurisdiction, has nothing to do with this investigation, over his incident report. He put more detail in his incident report and did his report in a timely fashion, unlike his investigators, okay? Unlike Proctor, Urick, and anybody else that was involved, and then the months and years it took for them to do reports.
Right. And Ed and I were talking in the green room before we went live, and we as police officers, New York City police, detectives, police officers, we assisted outside agencies when folks would come, say, from Nassau, Suffolk, from within our state, and even outside. If somebody came from Jersey and said, "Hey, we have a fugitive. We want to get him over here in the projects or whatever," we would assist. And if there was any evidence taken into custody, it was there. We didn't do any reports. We didn't document anything. All we did was maybe write an incident report. Listen, responded to such location at the request of trooper so-and-so. And this sergeant went a little bit above and beyond, because he did do a little bit more than what would be normally required, which was good. I was hoping, as you said, Ed, we were hoping that he took some pictures and additional things, but again, it wasn't his job to do that.
Exactly.
It was his job to keep the peace at the Reed home, the father and mom, Karen Reed's home, when they went there to secure this vehicle, who, as Trooper Proctor told the sergeant, it was a vehicle that was wanted in connection with a homicide.
Yes,
homicide of a police officer from Boston PD. So this sergeant obliged and went there and secured the scene with them, and all he did was make sure that everything was peacefully done. No, there was no intervention, nobody interfering. And I'm happy that he did write some reports, but he observed with his own eyes, because that's part of what we do. We observe things, right?
Right. We're professional. We're professional observers.
Exactly.
And I love the fact that, Brennan, there's no photographs. Okay, well, where's Proctor's photograph? Where's Sergeant Urey's photographs?
Yeah.
Okay, where's the tow truck operator's photograph? Okay.
Exactly.
Please.
All along from the beginning of this thing, from the Stop and Shop bags and the leaf blower. Hold on. What do we got? Wait, let me go full screen with this. Here it goes. Doing an encore.
Yeah.
Leah, thank you for the generosity, $50. Keep up your amazing work, Ed and Ron, praying for justice for Karen Reed and Officer John O'Keefe. Now, that $50 wasn't for you to dance and for us to play that Bad Boys. It just happened to happen that way. So
Remember, the song is not Bad Boys anymore. It's Bag Boys.
Bag Boys, Bag Boys. Let's listen to it again. Bag Boys. What you gonna do? All right. Let's continue, and we got a lot to unpack here.
Back to you.
Melanie Mendez at the courthouse.
Ms. Reed is entitled under the Constitution, under the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights, to a fair trial. And what has just happened is antithetical, abhorrent to a fair trial. The only remedy is a mistrial with prejudice.
Now, Ed, can you explain to our good friends what the mistrial with prejudice means, Ed?
If it's a mistrial with prejudice, that means the prosecution can't retry the case.
Right. And again, Judge Bev, within, 30 minutes? I think they took a 30-minute morning break or something like that. She came back and immediately said, denied. And she told Hank Brennan to continue his cross-examination of Dr. Russell along the lines of the DNA.
Right, and which I thought was a big mistake. That part. Okay, I can see her not doing the mistrial with prejudice. Right. I can see that. Right. And they could appeal that, by the way. The defense team can appeal that. Okay.
Let them secure their right to do that. So she made it in her statement.
But allowing Brennan to go down that road when the door was never opened by the defense, and Brennan never brought in the DNA expert from I think it was USC, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And because I remember last trial, he brought that person in from California, and they testified that when they did the DNA, it came back to pig DNA, not dog DNA. And then, Brennan gets all, huffy with the good doctor when she tries to say, that clothing was on the floor of an ambulance. It was on the floor of the emergency room. We don't know. It wasn't handled properly. There's no chain of custody. We don't know how long it took to get to the lab and how it was treated and so forth and so on, which are, and which are all forensic standards, why you don't do those things, because you could lose that genetic material on the end. The lab person didn't, use 2 swabs and didn't say exactly what defects were swabbed and how many were swabbed. Were all of them swabbed? Was it a composite swab? Or, and nobody ever swabbed the injuries.
No.
The actual wounds. Nobody ever swabbed the wounds.
And that is just, all in concert of the deplorable way this investigation was conducted from, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, from the beginning with leaf blower Gallagher, right straight to the end with the main lead detective.
Lieutenant Leaf.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Leaf Blower. Ice cream. Lieutenant Leaf Blower. Ice cream. Oh, no. Red Solo cups.
Cut it out. Jennifer Noble's member for over 50 months, a platinum member, the highest level of memberships. She's one of only 10 or 20-ish people. Last time I checked, I think it was 15, actually. One of 15 who are in the platinum membership tier. She's been here with us since we were covering Sincere and Classic, Orrin and Orson West. Sincere and Classic from Bakersfield, California. She said, "Love you guys with the Bad Boys Dance and all your dedication. You do it with integrity. Chat, show some love with your Milestone chat. It's a great perk that you get each month." Thank you, Jen. We love you and we thank you. Let's listen to Hank. This is his rebuttal to the defense asking for a mistrial. He says they can yell and shout all they want. Listen, Mr. Alessi was showing emotion because he's invested in what? Justice. He's invested for justice for his client. And I tip my cap to him. I don't have a cap on, but I tip my cap to him because he's doing a hell of a job, and the whole team.
Defense does not get to pick and choose what words the Commonwealth can or cannot use. They do not get to pick and choose what parts of Dr. Russell's opinions are important and not important. Because they chose not to emphasize, highlight, or discuss the absence of dog DNA on direct does not mean it's beyond the scope of direct examination. It means they did not want to talk about it because it was not helpful to them.
Plenty of tension in the courtroom today as Karen Reed's defense team called for a mistrial. That was just a snippet of the surprise exchange this morning.
So there you have it, Ed. I can't believe we've gone through 33 minutes so far. Let's get into talking about Sergeant Nicholas Barros' testimony. Again, he had no dog in the fight. This was not his investigation. He was called by disgraced former trooper Michael Proctor to come and assist to keep the peace at Karen Reed's parents' home, where she was living and residing back and forth between there and One Meadows. So at the end of the day, he went there and he made his observations. He was called in the first trial, but never called back because not this guy, but our first doofus that was running the Commonwealth's first trial didn't like what he had to say, just like Dr. Scordi-Bello. Dr. Scordi-Bello, if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, there's never even a mention of her by the Commonwealth. This guy doesn't even mention her by name anymore because she said it's not a pedestrian struck by vehicle indication. It's not indicative of that. And that's not what they want to hear. Therefore, they don't mention her.
Okay. And here's another the hypocrisy of Brennan. He attacks Dr. Russell about alternative theories, all right, of looking at alternative scenarios. She did that. She looked at the vehicular accident and she ruled it out. But what the prosecution's team didn't do is investigate the possibility of a fight in the Alberts house and the dog biting the victim's arm, John O'Keefe's arm. Did they? Okay, you can't have it both ways, my friend. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Okay, you can't be yelling at the good doctor because in your mind she dismissed your vehicle accident hypothesis, although you call it a theory, but and because of her years of experience, training, knowledge, and certifications, and she went with the dog bite. Okay, but your people, they said they were listening to the crime scene and the evidence that the crime scene was telling them.
Letting it talk to them.
They weren't listening to the crime scene. They were listening to Jennifer McCabe.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a listen to Alan Jackson introducing the good sergeant to the jury for the first time.
Full name, spell your last name for the jurors, please.
Nicholas Barros, Barros.
And where do you currently work?
The town of Dighton, Dighton Police Department.
How long have you worked for the Dighton Police Department, sir?
Since 2011.
And what's your position there currently?
Currently, I am a sergeant.
What's your duty assignment as a sergeant? What do you do?
I supervise the 4 to midnight shift.
We'll get to that in a little bit more detail in just a second. A couple more foundational questions. How long have you been?
Just a little fun tidbit. The 4 to 12, the 4 to midnight shift is the busiest shift in any police department. It's just the numbers. That's how it goes. The 4 to 12 is predominantly the busiest shift, and then the midnight shift, and then the day tour.
Police officer altogether.
Since 2011, so going 14 years.
And what education and training and background do you have that qualifies you to do your duties as a sergeant, a supervisor at the Dighton Police Department?
I completed the police academy. I hold a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I've been to many trainings as a police officer and as a supervisor.
When did you get your bachelor's degree?
2012.
Is the Dighton Police Department an autonomous police department for the city? In other words, is it a branch of, say, for instance, Massachusetts State Police, or is it an autonomous department?
It's on its own.
Okay. It's not in any way connected to the Canton Police Department, I presume?
Correct.
Is it in any way connected to the Massachusetts State Police
It
Department?
is not.
As a supervisor, are part of your duties to oversee subordinate officers in their daily fare, whatever that may be?
Yes.
Does that include anything having to do with crime scene investigation?
To an extent.
Witness interviews?
No, that would be the detective bureau.
What about working and coordinating with detectives?
To an extent.
Collection of evidence or working with detectives as they collect evidence?
They would collect evidence.
Maintaining crime scene protocols, things of that nature?
Correct.
All right. As a sergeant with the Dighton Police Department, are you a trained observer?
I am.
Would you consider all of your subordinates, the patrol officers, day-to-day officers, are they also trained observers?
They are.
Is that part of policing?
It is.
Describe that a little bit for the jurors so we understand.
I just want you guys to know, Ed and I touched on this. Alan Jackson is not just saying this to chat with this guy. He's saying this to set up for the jury that this man and all police officers are trained observers. Why? Because he's going to ask him next about what he observed in the driveway of Karen Reed's mother and father's home.
And do you see how easy it is for the answers to come from this sergeant? When you're telling the truth, there's no hesitation. There's no thinking about the answer here. This is very simple. It's like a simple conversation going back and forth. Okay. Pleased. And you could see the difference between this sergeant and the young
Sergeant
lady.
Buchanan. Yeah, Sergeant Buchanan. Many other witnesses that came on the stand and, our good, I can't even call her good, our horrible witness that was on the stand yesterday, Kelly Dever. She was a disgrace. She should just pack it in. As far as we're concerned.
We are in the police academy. We're told to watch everything. It's our heads on a swivel. We are always looking because we don't know what the unknown is.
When you say you don't know, is it true that you don't necessarily know what might become relevant later that may be needed in court?
Correct.
I want to draw your attention to January of 2022, a few years ago. January 29th, 2022, did you have you personally, officer, did you have any personal relationship with the Canton Police Department?
I did not.
Did you have any personal relationship with a trooper from the Massachusetts State Police named Michael Proctor?
I did not.
Do you have any relationship with a person by the name of Brian Higgins, an ATF agent?
I did not.
Do you have any relationship with a Boston police officer known as Brian Albert?
I did not.
Did you know any of the witnesses or individuals involved in an ongoing investigation related to the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe?
I did not.
And this is key that he set this up, Ed. This is key that he laid this foundation down, because it's showing the jury that this man right here is not in with the Massachusetts State Police. He doesn't know anybody from that state police, and it also shows that he has no ties into Canton and the McAlberts and Brian Higgins.
Right. He's not a part of the Canton ancestral relationship of the McAlberts.
Correct, Mundo. And it's so important that he laid that down. And what he leads him into here next is the bombshell of day 26. And I would argue the bombshell of arguably this trial right here.
On January 29th, 2022, did you receive some sort of a call to respond to a particular location? I don't want the address of the location. We'll get to that in a second. Did you receive some sort of a call in the afternoon?
I did.
Describe that for the jurors, please.
Around 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a call from the troopers assigned to the Norfolk District County DA's office in regards to a vehicle that was at a residence in the town of Dighton.
What were you asked to do? Why did you get that call?
The troopers said that they were coming into my jurisdiction, and as a courtesy, they wanted me to respond with them.
Is that sort of normal protocol? If you go into somebody else's jurisdiction, you let them know?
Yes.
So that was not necessarily unusual.
No.
About what time did you receive that first call?
The first call was around 2:30 in the afternoon.
Was there are logs kept of those kinds of things? If you get a call, you respond to location?
Yes.
At some point after you received that first call, did you receive any other call specifying a time of arrival for the MSP troopers, anything like that?
I did.
Describe that for us.
I got a second call around 3 p.m. From Trooper Michael Proctor stating that he was about 10 minutes away from the address in Dighton.
At the point that you spoke with Michael Proctor, had you ever spoken to him in your professional or personal capacity ever before?
Never.
Did you know the name? Did you know who he was?
I did not.
Complete stranger.
Complete stranger.
What time did you actually arrive at the residence?
I arrived at the residence, I believe it was 3:27 p.m.
Sergeant Barros, I don't want the address. Cameras are rolling. Did you respond specifically to a residence in the city of Dighton?
Yes.
Did you at that time know who lived at that residence, who resided there?
I did.
How did you know that?
Early in the shift, when I came on at 8 a.m., the midnight shift, the outgoing shift, had told me that a resident of Dighton at that address had called looking for a ride to Brockton Hospital.
Who did you know at that time, or who did you believe at that time to live at the address that you are now responding to?
William Reed.
That was Reed, R-E-A-D?
Correct.
Okay. Did you know anything about his daughter at that time, or did you just know the name William Reed?
I just knew William Reed, the name.
At the time that Michael Proctor called you, did he say anything about what his intentions were once he arrived at the location?
Yes, his intention was to retrieve a vehicle that he said was involved in a homicide.
Did he specifically say to you at 3 o'clock-ish in the afternoon he intended to seize the vehicle?
I believe the first phone call, that was his intention.
Meaning all the way back to 2:30?
2:30 is when he first called me and said that they were coming to Dighton to retrieve a vehicle that that occurred in a homicide in Canton.
And you understood that to mean what? Retrieve a vehicle?
Seize.
Thank you. What was your role once you arrived at the scene at the Reed household?
My role was Trooper Michael Proctor asked me to facilitate a tow to tow that vehicle.
Was that a private tow company?
Yes.
And when you say facilitate a tow, what does that mean?
He asked who we used for towing vehicles, and during that period of time, it was Diamond Towing.
I want to just say this too, Ed, what I took away from this part of the testimony. Trooper Michael Proctor and the Norfolk County Homicide Squad aren't too active because they didn't know that they were supposed to secure their own tow truck to take their evidence. They relied on this sergeant and his police department to get their next rotation tow guy to come.
Roto.
Yeah. So they used their guy's roto, right? And it just tells me as an investigator that they did not have their stuff tightened up, because when we would go to seize a vehicle or a property or anything like that, we're not relying on some out of town's tow service. We're going to get our people. And correct me if I'm wrong, chat, the distance between Dighton and Canton is not too far. So they came in there with their hold on. Where is it?
Why don't you put your thumb up your butt?
With their thumbs up their butt. They didn't know what they were doing.
Well, let me also remind people, at the time they're seizing this car, no warrant to seize the car. Okay. They had only interviewed 3 people in this investigation. And no taillights pieces had been recovered in front of the Alberts house. They didn't interview the Alberts that were in the house, okay, or Higgins or any of the people that were in there at the party that night. They had already made up their mind after speaking to Jennifer McCabe that this was an accident, this was a motor vehicle involved homicide, and Karen Reed was the guilty party. That's it.
Yeah. Dixie Town downtown sends in a message and says their tow service may have been honest people. It's about the chain of custody. And when you use the people that you use on all of your investigation and all of your cases, it's just a little bit different. It just makes the case just a little bit better when you have proper chain of custody, which there was no chain of custody, no proper chain of custody in any of the evidence that was collected as it pertains to the murder of police officer John O'Keefe. And that is in itself heartbreaking.
Did Diamond Towing ultimately show up, a representative of that
They did.
tow company with a tow truck?
Correct.
A flatbed?
Yes.
Who was with Trooper Proctor when you arrived at the scene?
Sergeant Buchanan.
Had you ever met Sergeant Buchanan before?
Never.
Did you know him?
Nope.
Do you know him professionally or personally?
Never.
Had you ever spoken to him?
Never.
Ever? I'm so sorry. It's getting late in the day, and I guess I'm going too fast. Sorry, my fault. Let's start that just a little bit slower. Did you know him?
No.
Had you ever spoken to him before?
No.
Had you ever heard his name before?
No.
No relationship whatsoever?
None.
Same with Trooper Proctor?
Correct.
Once you arrived at the residence, did you have an opportunity to see the vehicle that was the focus of Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan's attention?
Yes. Once I arrived and I parked my cruiser at the end of the driveway, I observed a black Lexus SUV in the driveway.
What were you driving?
I was driving a Ford F-150 police cruiser.
A police cruiser that's a Ford F-150?
Correct.
They have those?
Yes.
Cool. Were you in full uniform?
Full uniform.
Gun, badge, the whole works?
The whole works.
Did you ever go inside the house?
Briefly.
What was the circumstance of going inside the house?
I went inside to let the troopers know that the tow truck operator was there. And I also went in to ask how we're going to get the tow truck into the driveway because there was about a foot of snow.
That sort of answers my next question. Did you see whether or not Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan actually did go inside the residence?
Yes, they did.
For the bulk of the time that they were in the residence, where were you?
Outside the residence.
Were you with the black SUV?
I was in the garage speaking to the defendant's mother.
The defendant's mom?
Yes.
Janet? Okay.
Yes.
Where was the SUV at this point?
In the driveway.
Did you have an opportunity to see the SUV?
I did.
Did you walk all the way around it?
Not all the way around.
Did you see the rear end of it?
I did.
Did you make note of the rear end of it?
Yes.
How long would you say you were at the location in a position to observe the rear end of that SUV? 2 minutes, 20 minutes, something in between, longer?
I would say not the entire time that I was there, but a good amount of time.
More than a glance?
Yes.
Again, remember, he was told as a Dighton sergeant that this vehicle was wanted in connection to a homicide that involved an off-duty Boston police officer John O'Keefe. So you bet your ass that he looked at that car up and down. Why? Why did he do that? To look for evidence. Not that he was going to collect it, but anything that he would be able to tell them, hey, look, I see something here. Hey, look, I see something there. This is what cops do. They don't interject themselves in an investigation. But Ed, correct me if I'm wrong. We do this. We are now like, oh shit, this is a vehicle that's wanted for a murder of a cop, a retired, an off-duty cop. And we're going to look at it. This is what he's testifying to. Lori, I thought it was despicable what Hank did yesterday as it pertains to the friend of John O'Keefe, of Michael Proctor, and saying that the kid's father took his life at the gravesite. What he said there was the lowest of low. We didn't mention it yesterday. There was so much that we were talking about, but yes, I agree. It takes disrespect to another level coming from a special prosecutor for the Commonwealth. I think he should be disbarred for that comment alone. The hurt that he did to those, they're not kids anymore. I think they're young adults or teenagers, 17 and 18. I don't know the ages, but it's despicable. This comment is, again, you look at what he did and what he said. This guy has no heart. He's heartless. So, Ed, anything?
Yeah, I doubt he told Mrs. O'Keefe that was coming or that he was going to do that because their whole family was there, and I'm sure they were quite shocked by what he did there. And I don't know, the reason why he read that, because the defense who brought in this witness didn't have all of these text messages read by the witness.
Yeah.
And I guess he was trying to get ahead of it and talk about this stuff, but there was no reason to read that particular one.
Yeah, it was despicable. And again, to make that reference when it is not official is, I believe it was stated that he died of heart failure. If in fact it was the case that he did in fact do that, the courtroom was no place for him to say that. It's at that point, it's not about the victim and it's his family, the O'Keefe family. That's
totally on Brennan, because he chose what to read and what not to read. He didn't have to read that.
Despicable. All right. Thank you, Lori, for that comment. And thank you for everyone's support here. We really, really appreciate the live audience because you guys are the heartbeat of Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace. We tip our caps to you. We honor you. We respect you. We thank you for taking the time to sit with us for sometimes an hour or two, sometimes more than 2 hours. So we thank you, because without our live audience and the folks that are contributors by liking, sharing, subscribing, hitting the thumbs up, sending super chats and so forth, that is what makes this place great. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
This is the afternoon of January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Before the vehicle had been seized formally by Trooper Proctor and Sergeant Buchanan, correct?
Correct.
Did you observe anything of note about the rear end of that black SUV?
Yes, I noted in a report that there was damage to the taillight.
Can you describe for the juror, by the way, which taillight are we talking about?
The right rear tail light.
Can you describe for the jurors what you noted in terms of the damage to the right rear taillight?
I noted that the report said that there was right rear damage to that tail light.
When you say damage, have you ever described that damage previously?
I have.
Can you tell us what that description is?
There was, it was damaged. The taillight was damaged, but there was a crack missing, but it was not completely damaged.
When you say there was a crack, you mean there was a piece missing?
A piece was missing.
Can you describe for the jurors kind of what that piece looked like, how big it was, how small, the shape, as you call it?
The piece was about maybe this big.
Is that maybe the size of a dollar bill, maybe 6 inches?
6 inches.
And how wide?
Maybe that wide, maybe 3 inches, 2 inches, somewhere in there.
I want to show you a photo. Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would like to show Exhibit 13. It's been previously marked.
This is important here
Do you
as
see
well.
what's depicted in this photograph?
I do.
What does that appear to be, just generally?
The right rear tail light.
Of what?
The Lexus SUV.
Is that consistent with the black Lexus SUV that you saw at the Reed residence?
That was the black Lexus. That was not the tail light the day I was there.
Can you do me a favor, Mr. Wolk? With the court's permission, can we zoom in on the right rear tail light, please?
Okay.
Do you see the condition of that tail light as it's depicted in this photo?
I do.
Sergeant Barros, is this the condition of the right rear tail light when you showed up at the Reed household at around 3:15 in the afternoon on January 29th, 2022?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Now he's showing them, Ed, he's showing right now the picture that the Commonwealth put into evidence. And this is a picture from the Canton PD Sally Port. The same Sally Port that police officer Kelly Dever said that Brian Higgins and the chief Berkowitz spent, what was her words, Ed? A gross amount of time or a ridiculously whatever. She said they spent a ridiculous amount of time, not exactly those words.
Wild amount of time. Wild was it?
There you go. Thank you. A wild amount of time in that Sally Port. And then all of a sudden she had amnesia. And she said that that wild amount of time never happened.
Okay.
It didn't happen.
I'd like to take advantage of this photo right now to tell the folks. No, leave that back up, please. Look at this image. Look at this image, and then think of the damage to John O'Keefe's sleeve on his hoodie and his injuries, his wounds. What on there could make those patterns, those series of parallel patterns, okay, on his arm and in there? Do you see anything that has a circular geometry to it that could create those holes and then turn those holes into elongated elliptical damage from the base hole where it entered? There's nothing here that has that geometry.
Negative. Yeah.
This is what we talk about, you know, when we're talking about wounds and weapons, okay, and understanding pattern identification.
Unbelievable. Let's let the rest of this play. And I want to just highlight a couple of questions real quick. Quick question from Jillian. She says, well, now will the feds come in? Not now. They can only come in once this trial is completed and there's a verdict. They are doing behind the scenes their thing. They do this silently. They don't broadcast. They don't boast about what they do, but they are doing what they need to do. And if at any time, once this trial is complete, we may hear about it. Let's listen to the rest of this.
That was not the tail light the day I was there.
Can you do me a favor, Mr. Wolk? With the court's permission, could we zoom in on the right rear tail light, please?
Okay.
Do you see the condition of that tail light as it's depicted in this photo?
I do.
Sergeant Barros, is this the condition of the right rear taillight when you showed up at the Reed household at around 3:15 in the afternoon on January 29th, 2022?
Absolutely not.
What's different about this photo, sir?
That taillight is completely smashed out.
Does it appear that there are additional pieces of taillight that are removed from this taillight condition than when you saw it at the Reed residence? Yeah.
Sustained. Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Of course. Describe specifically, other than the fact that it's different, describe in detail for the jurors what is different about this taillight as it's photographed here.
That middle section was intact when I was there. Towards that right side where that large chunk is, that's what was missing.
I'm going
to Ed, he seems very confident in his testimony here. Like he's not, like you said, there's no hesitation. This is not something that was scripted for him. This is coming from his memory, and it's honest, trustworthy, and straightforward. And again, he was clear and concise about this when asked.
Yeah. Towards that right side where that large chunk is, that's what was missing.
I'm going to hand you a green laser pointer.
Oh no, the laser
If you
pointer.
can, there's two displays, one monitor directly in front of you and one to your right. If you could use the one to your right, it's a little easier on the jurors. Describe what's different about that taillight.
Can you see that? So this area was intact. This is what I saw was missing here.
Just here. He's
approach.
going and saying that whole area was not out when he was at Karen Reed's father's home, mother and father.
If the entire taillight had been broken out as it's depicted in this photograph, would you have made note of that?
Sustained.
Do you believe you would remember?
Why would that objection be sustained? It's a simple question, and it just shows that the judge here is not allowing Mr. Jackson to ask these simple questions. Why was that sustained? Why in God's name is she sustaining that?
Speculation.
Bullshit.
If the taillight, well, let me ask it a different way.
Here comes more sustains.
The piece that you saw missing, but not completely damaged, is the reason that you use the phrase not completely damaged to highlight the fact that there was still more taillight attached to the vehicle than is depicted in this photo.
Sustained.
Objection. Sustained.
We can take this down.
It's already in, though. He pointed out what was there.
As you sit here and recall back to that.
I understand that, Ed. I get that the damage is done at this point. But why? What?
Because she's a lifeguard and not a judge.
I don't even have a button for it. Hold on. Pull it over, Bev. It's time
Step
to give
away
it.
from the bench.
Step
Drop
away.
the gavel. Drop the gavel. Step away from the bench.
It's we got to think of a new charge for operating on the bench while intoxicated.
Oh,
Observations. And you observed this for over the course of how long would you say? How many minutes?
Probably 20 minutes or so.
You actually wrote a report about this, correct?
Correct.
And you documented your observations, correct?
Correct.
In your documented observations, did you use the phrase cracked but not completely damaged?
I did not.
Sustained.
You've testified previously,
I have.
about a year ago.
Yes.
Did you use the phrase cracked but not completely damaged then?
The objection sustained, Mr. Jackson.
Again, that's what he used. He used exactly what Mr. Jackson just said. It was objected to. and sustained. Insane. It's insane.
Ultimately, was the black Lexus SUV towed and cleared from the scene?
It was.
Is it your responsibility or part of your responsibility to log the time that things like this happen? Like, for instance, the SUV is taken away?
When I cleared from the scene, yes.
What time was that when you cleared the scene?
I believe it was 4:17 p.m.
And he said that he arrived 1084 at the scene at the residence at 3:27. So he was there about an hour. So
Suffice it to say that SUV was not seized at a later time, correct?
Correct.
It was not seized at 5:30 p.m.?
No.
I'd like to show you another exhibit, if I could. This is exhibit 105. Do you recognize this scene generally?
I do.
Do you recognize it as being, what do you recognize as being?
This is the Reed residence.
Do you see some vehicles in that still shot on the video?
I do.
Describe what you see.
That tow truck is Diamond Towing, and that other vehicle that's at the rear of that tow truck is the Lexus SUV.
If we could, with the court's permission, zoom in. It's high on the screen, correct?
What's that?
The vehicles are high on the screen as we're
Correct.
looking at it. Could we zoom in to the top left portion of the screen?
Okay.
Can we play this video?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm surprised she said yes. Step away from the bench. Ed, we have some of the coolest sound effects, don't you think?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Can you see what's depicted in the still image of that video right now?
I can.
I'm going to ask you if you'll turn to your right, concentrate on this area. This area here. Do you see what's depicted in that still image?
I do.
Does that appear to be a taillight?
Yes.
Does it look clear? Does it look like it's shining red?
Looks clear.
The portion that is intact, does that appear to be brighter red?
Correct.
And the photograph that I just showed you a second ago, is that red portion there?
Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Let's go back. You see the red?
Yes.
Is that the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th around 3:15 or 3:30 when you got to the location?
It was.
Let's go back to the other exhibit,
Too
please.
bad that camera wasn't just a little more angled up.
I agree, Ed. I agree.
Can we zoom in, please?
Friends, I just put in the chat a little bit of instruction. We're going to send, I don't know, 10 or 20 free memberships. Make sure your membership gifting is enabled in your account. Ed and I are going to bless the chat with some free memberships. Just follow the rules and make sure you hit the thumbs up first and foremost. I know most of you here are subscribed, but if you're new, subscribe and press the number 1 in the chat. Yeah, Ed, it would have been helpful if some of these videos, but they're relying on home videos. This is the Reed family home.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the One Meadows video, which is a Ring video.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start zooming in, the pixels on those cameras aren't like, I have 4 megapixel cameras at my home. I probably could go up to 6 or 8, but even 4, when you zoom in out on the street, it gets a little grainy. But I'm looking to upgrade the front cameras in front of my house to the highest megapixels possible, so I can zoom in on if someone pulls up in front of my house and commits a crime, so I can identify the plate. So let's pull this back, and yeah, this is tough to make a determination from here.
But he zooms in on it.
15 to 3:30 when you got to the location?
It was.
Let's go back to the other exhibit, please. Exhibit 13. Can we zoom in, please? And you see that this entire area is now missing?
I can.
Sustained.
Too late.
Sure. The area that I'm circling here, do you see any red lens in that area?
No.
Is that consistent, this photograph consistent with the condition of the taillight as you saw it on January 29th, 2022, at just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
So there you have it.
Your Honor, I would like to have published.
Ed, I want to go to the chat. Let's take some questions and then get ready to wrap it up. We got a half a day with Bev. What do you got? Oh, wait a minute. Ed, once Ed starts reaching, whether it's to the right or left, I got to put him full screen because something's happening here.
And what it is isn't exactly clear. But let me just help you out. Let me just blow away all my forensic evidence with the forensic leaf blower.
Drop the leaf blower. Ed, are you in your pajamas?
Negative.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw pajamas there. Let's go to the chat, hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Ed. I want to go over the super chats. Ed, pay attention to the chat because we just gifted 10.
I'm paying attention.
We just gifted 10 free memberships. So welcome to the memberships. We're going to give 10 more away before we're done here. I don't know a lot of I wish I saw more creators gift memberships away, but the ones that I watch, and I don't watch that many, they're just, I guess we do get consumed with the chat and with our, the topics that we're talking about, but I love to give back to the community. So it's always good to send out some free memberships to the people who can't necessarily afford to purchase those memberships. So Tony, thank you for gifting 5 yourself in the beginning of the show. Thank you. Gabrielle for the 2 super sticker. K Music Taylor, always here, Ed, and always supporting. Brennan has even repeatedly lied to the judge and the jury. Wow. The eye kept for Salinger. What am I? Why am I not able to? We need Ed on the stand, but Ed can't be on the stand. Ed, can you explain to that person why you can't be on the stand?
Well, a couple of conflict of interest. Part of my training that I do up there for Homeland Security and my private company, and the fact that I'm on this channel giving my opinion about the case, it wouldn't go over well, and Judge Bev would never allow it. Lifeguard Bev would never allow somebody like me to go up there and talk about, protocols and standards and what wasn't followed and so forth.
They can't handle the truth, Ed. They can't.
You can't handle the truth.
Kathy, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Kathy Hurley, thank you.
Ron.
What?
Did you order the code red?
Oh my God.
Bueller.
Thunder Horse, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Let us know in the chat if you like these little sound bites or if you think they're obnoxious. Let us know. We can handle it. We have a thick skin. We can handle the criticism. If you don't like them, I'll delete them all, and we'll just walk a straight line here. I like humor. I like to add humor in. The eye kept for why am I stuck on that? We need police officers like Ed and Ron. Well, thank you so much. And also, thank you for reminding me. I went to the P.O. box today, and so many, this was before Oscar, our family dog, passed away. I haven't been there since March. So the Mary Flynn, thank you for the card. Faith Charity up in Vermont, thank you for the wind chimes and custom wind chimes with Oscar's name on it. And Karen Solak, thank you for the kind cards and messages. I love you guys, and I thank you. Bewitched Butte, thank you for the 2. There's so much common sense here. we try to, give it to you straightforward. We call balls and strikes. If everything was in order and everything pointed to the defendant, we would be cheerleading the prosecution on, but we can't do that in good faith because this prosecution it gets a
Oh, hell no.
it's an oh hell no. Ed, do you have more props that what's going on down there? Is that a gun that you have?
What do you see? What do you see? No,
Okay.
no guns. No guns.
Keep your hands up, Ed.
Hands up, baby. Hands
What's your
up.
name, scumbag?
Oh,
Jesus. Eileen, thank you for gifting a membership. Wow. I didn't even know I had that one. Emily, thank you for the gifted membership. Thank you to everyone who does that. That's really nice. People are saying keep the sound bites. We like it. Was there anybody in the chat said that they don't like it? I haven't seen anybody say it yet. EKG, thank you for the 20. You didn't dress up like the victim and attach a German Shepherd to your arm. You didn't use blue paint. Not being paid about $400K. Don't need emotional support laptops to testify. Clearly, you are no expert, ma'am. Unreal. Right?
Love it. EKG.
That's the comment of the show right there. Right? Holy crap. Thank you, EKG. Shaka, thank you for 808. Thank you for the 20 super sticker. Much appreciated. SanDB, thank you for the 2. Great to see one honest cop in Massachusetts. I think there's more than that. Let's be fair. But as it pertains to Canton and this North Fork County homicide squad, they're all, as far as the North Fork County District Attorney homicide squad, consisting of 4 Massachusetts State Police, a sergeant, a lieutenant. These guys are all.
What's your name, scumbag?
Whoa. Again, they get it.
Private Snowball.
Leah, thank you for the 50. Keep up your amazing work, Ed and Ron, praying for justice. I think we highlighted that one during the show. Glow T, thank you. May God bless Officer Barros. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, somebody said in the chat that he should be worried for his life. I don't think that that's the case. His department is not going to blackball him because he is testifying to what he saw, and nobody is going to sway him. And we need more cops like that. He's a sergeant, he's a supervisor, but we need to hear from more. And I was surprised that you and I talked about this a couple of days ago. Why haven't we heard from any Boston cops? Why has not one Boston cop sent me or you a message on DutyRon.com and letting us know what their thoughts are? Not one. I didn't get one person from retired or anything in between, and I'm shocked by that. That speaks volumes. So where are we? Morgan, thank you for the $2. Much appreciated. Reality Check, $4.99. Thank you. What do you think were the high and low points for the defense today? Well, we highlighted them. I think the highs were both of these witnesses came out with positives for the defense. And I think Hank Brennan made himself, this man right here, made himself look like a fool, badgering the good doctor, and also just the way he was acting. It was almost like a kid that got scolded and sent to the room, and then was stomping his feet that he wanted dessert.
Yeah, it's okay when his witnesses have memory issues. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, but not then he accuses others that don't have memory issues of not being able to remember correctly.
Yeah. Charlotte says BPD are not in the courtroom either. I don't know. I don't know all the faces that I see in the courtroom on the side of the O'Keefe family. I don't know. We don't know that for sure. But I know that there's no uniforms allowed in the courtroom. So 7 Mary 3, thank you for the 10. Solo cup leaf blowers, rehomed dog, sold house, fired lead investigated, destroyed cell phones, 2:27 a.m. butt dials, Collins swollen hand. I got it now, Hank. Thank you. It's clear and evident.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was a great comment. I appreciate that.
One Adam 12. See you, man.
Jennifer Noble, we highlighted this. I love her. We appreciate everything that she's done for missing persons and for that case in Bakersfield, California. That's her hometown. So Jennifer, we love you. We appreciate you. Katie, thanks for the 2. Our forensic nurses at the hospital, Officer John O'Keefe went to our forensic nurses.
Yeah, normally sane nurses, sexual assault nurses, or forensic nurses are typically at all the trauma centers for special victims that show up there for treatment and evaluation.
I had a Karen Reed interview that she gave on February 10th. It was 6 minutes long. I'm not going to play it, but I suggest that you guys go and watch it. This was before the trial started. Obviously, the trial kicked off on April 22nd, but I have that saved in a hopper. I'll link it down below in the description. You guys go and watch it. If we had more time, I would have played it here, but it's 6 minutes long. TJ, thank you for the 5. Thanks to Ed and Ron for excellent analysis. Well, we thank you for watching and supporting. Sarah Gates, thank you for being a member for holy cow, almost 30 months. Ron and Ed, you give us faith that there are still those out there who do the right thing and stand on integrity. Thank you. Sarah, there's many men and women that are out there and doing the job right. It's just that we are being the Commonwealth is highlighting all of those scumbags that are less than honorable, and that's bad look for all law enforcement. Unfortunately, they make the job tougher to do for the good ones. Just say no to sideswipe volunteering for Karen Reed. 5. Queen Dr. Russell said many significant things, including victims of trauma tend to blame themselves for weeks.
Oh, did Hank mess up with that one? That was awesome. He asked a question that he didn't know the answer to, and she jumped in with both feet through that door. She drop kicked that door open and went in there and slammed it. Now the jury heard about all those clips of Karen Reed and what that could actually be coming from. That was freaking awesome.
Yes, thank you for that. Just say no to the sideswipe volunteering. Yeah, we all needed to be reminded of that. Christina Straight, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Truth Seekers of Pop and Law, thank you for the $5. Appreciate that. Grains Never Neverland, thank you for being a member for 5 whole months. Don't ever mispronounce her name. She was really upset over that.
Yeah, really touchy.
Poor Kelly gets this.
Oh, hell no. Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
Thank you, Cameron. We're almost at the end here. Brog, thank you for becoming a new member. Much appreciated from Germany. Emily, thank you for the 2. He's not part of the clique. Honest witness. She's referring to the sergeant. Yes. Absolutely. Here's the history chick's mom, Evie323. I think I'm going to do an interview with her daughter on Instagram. I don't know when, but I agreed to it. So I'm going to be doing an interview with the history chick. Thank you for the 20. She says, Dighton officer sergeant testified with integrity and truth. Most police officers are good. Karen Reed, investigators make the good ones look bad. Yeah, we just said it. Today's showcased just how much of an injustice is happening in Norfolk County. It is sad. It's sad because this could be anybody. Karen Reed could be you, me, anybody. And when you look at this lynching, that's what it is. Make no mistake. This could happen to any one of us. Brandy K, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Reality Check, another 5. Would love for you to interview Bettero on, would be epic. Yeah, I tried to get him a while ago, and he said he was too busy. So, but yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I asked him to come on during the first trial, and he said he was too busy. But we'll see. Sharon, thank you for the $2. Speaks volume. Proctor never took pics at Reed's.
That's right.
Yeah, he never took pictures of that vehicle being booked into evidence. Should be, as Ed says, copious notes, photos, the whole workup, right?
Well, first of all, the crime scene unit should have been called to that scene. And this happens all the time with vehicles in the NYPD. We get a call from the squad, hey, we're going to seize this car. And then we go and we'll go at their request and document the car and then follow the car back to the garage and work up the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Hey, Ron, are you done?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I'm not done with all the.
Okay.
Just wait 1 second. The fixer at the end in a 10. Bev knows Karen Reed will never be convicted, thus no appeal. That's why she makes these egregious rulings, and she'll never be held accountable for it. I hope that you're not right, that she'll never be held accountable for it. Karen and the taxpayers will suffer with a third trial.
No, let's hope that doesn't happen.
Thank you, the fixer. Greg S., thank you for the 2. Why wasn't the SUV taped off or on the surveillance? Yeah, so we're talking about that, Greg.
Oh, it did have crime scene tape around it, and there were cameras in the garage, although some of them were inverted.
Yeah. Salty C, thank you for becoming a new member. Leah, thank you for another 50. That's 100 so far. Exactly, Ed. Plus Welcher did his whole investigation. Only one outcome. The Commonwealth's Buchanan and Proctor, respectfully, was to take photos, not Barros. Spanky. Much love and respect to Sergeant Barros.
If I can just jump onto this as well.
Oh, yeah.
With regards to Dances with Dummies, he had 25 possibilities of time frames, and he only used the ones but let me back it up. He had 25 possibilities of time frames occurring, and he all should have been given equal weight by science. All should have been given equal weight, but he only chose to use the ones where the time met the needs of the prosecutor and having the accident, therefore, after the last manual lock of John O'Keefe's cell phone, right? So that tells you about his confirmational bias and what he did.
Big time. Big time. Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for highlighting that, Ed. Built to Help Art, thank you for the 5. I'm surprised he didn't snap a pic on his department phone. God only knows what this guy did. There might have been a pic that he had on his phone, and we just don't know about it. Everything about this case was done wrong. And when you look at it, at the end of the day, who suffers here? The victim, police officer John O'Keefe. It's a travesty of justice, not only for his family, not only for the residents of Dighton, Canton, all that are involved, but look, the whole world is watching. It's an eyesore. It's a black eye for law enforcement, because who in God's name in Canton and in the surrounding areas and in Massachusetts, and for that matter, everyone who's watching, wherever you are, now everyone's second guessing police because of this fuckery that you see here, this debacle. This is the worst that we've ever seen, and this is going 30 plus years of retired and active duty for Ed and myself. It's just, this is despicable. It's despicable, and I'm being nice. Glow T, thank you for the 5. I googled Officer Barros. He was in an accident, almost lost his life after he talked to the feds. I mean, I don't know, I don't know about that. I didn't look into that, but thank you for sharing that with us. I will certainly look into that, and we'll see. But he's active duty right now, and because he was asked if he's a working sergeant with the Dighton Police Department, and he said yes. Number Chick, thank you for the 10. Super Sicker, much appreciated. Schmitty Schmacks in the building, sending some cashola. Thank you, Schmitty. We love you. This court is like, bring your own beer, bring your own bev. There you go. Duty Ron and Ed gifted 10 memberships. I'm about to do 10 more. Stand by. Sue, thank you for the 5. Pray for Sergeant Baros. He was in a head-on collision, wow, in 2023, and is still dealing with healing. That might explain why, remember I was saying that he didn't seem sure of himself at the end? Maybe the pressure of all of this testimony, that was at the very end of it. Remember I was saying that to you before we went live, Ed, when we were looking at evaluating? I said something doesn't look right about him. Maybe the pressure of being cross-examined, the cross-examination by Hank, and the pressure of this day might have got to him. So may he continue to recover and so forth. So thank you, Sue, for that. I'm going to look more into that. Mama Mayo 9, thank you for being a member for 8 months. Great show as always. Well, we try. We're only human. None of it's scripted. We do it from our knowledge and memory. Ben George, thank you for the 10. There is no way the taillight broke by him hitting his arm. Per Hank Cross of the dog bite expert, the wounds were not punctures nor had any depth. There would have been deep bone wounds and broken bones if he was hit by that car, for that matter. Correct, Ed?
Yes. And there's been testing done by BN Trouble 31, and if you see the video, so.
Ravelin One, thank you for becoming a member. We appreciate the new members. Beautiful Messy Ball, thanks for the 5. I believe the defense filed a new motion to reconsider Easter, but I'm not positive. That's what I was hearing.
Yeah, they did, but I don't think Bev is going to let it in.
Of course not. Tiffany Welch, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Sunny Day, thank you for the 10. I love your channel. Thank you for your integrity. I watched the first trial, and his statement about the light was exactly the same. He was just asked more questions, this time to add details. So there you go. Sunny Day is on it, and thank you for the 10. Digigoddess, thanks for the 2. Thank you for covering this from me and my law enforcement husband. Tell him to stay safe. If he's retired, congratulations to making it to the finish line. Retta, thank you for the 10. That's a super sticker. We appreciate it. Kelly, thank you for the 5. She said, the lady you said girl power about is Tracy Murray. That's the one who's looking at him. Here she is right here. Wow, this is weird that I still have it on the screen. Tracy Murray, she's one of the founders of the Resistance to Silence, Boots on the Ground, Free Karen Reed. So let's show her full screen. Right here. This is Tracy Murray. Good job. Thank you, Kelly, for pointing that out. Leah is, again, she's sent it there. That's $105. So thank you for the super chats, cumulative. The responsibility was on Buchanan and Proctor. Absolutely. That's the responsibility to document, to take photos. This is, again, Ed reminded everybody, this is a vehicle this was told to the sergeant in Dighton that this vehicle was wanted in connection with a murder, homicide of a police officer.
Just hours after John died.
Correct. Reality check. Thank you to the Vibe. Proctor did an interview. Would love to see your commentary. Proctor did an interview. Would love to see. Where is it? Send it to me right now, and we'll look at it. We'll go. As Ed's cringing right now, he's like, no. Send me that interview. Hold on. What is Ed reaching for? Drop the snowblower, Ed. Drop the snowblower. Thank you for becoming a
leaf blower.
Thank you for the leaf blower. I think of snow when I hear that because of what Lieutenant Snowblower did. He did it with a leaf blower. All right, that's the end right there. All
right, there's a question from one of our chatters here, Hannah Banana 720. She keeps writing it, and I don't want to ignore her. So please, Ron, she's wrote this several times. Maybe you can answer it for her.
At Ed Wallace, what is a first grade detective and how do you become one? Well, it's the highest grade of detectives. There's grade 3, 2, and 1. And to get to the first grade detective, you have to have an enormous skill set. You have to be liked by your supervisors. You have to get high evaluations. You have to be the best of the best. And yes, some detectives in the NYPD get second and first grade when it's not warranted. Ed knows that for a fact. It happens. But for the most part, the guys and girls who get promoted to first grade detective are like Ed Wallace. They're not all like him, obviously, but you have your ship tightened up. You know your stuff. You know what you're doing. You're competent, and you're way, way above average as it pertains to investigations. So that's our beloved Ed Wallace. That's what a first grade detective is. And again, some people get it because of some of the people they know, but in Ed's case, I think it was a combination of both. He has a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge. The man is brilliant. So well-deserved, well-earned. And his wife also was a first grade detective, is a first grade. Once a detective, always a detective. So both Ed and his wife are both retired first grade detectives.
Ron, you know how they say you are who you associate with?
Yes.
Right. So, you're judged by the company you keep, right? So in my wedding party, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 5 police officers. My wife, myself, 2 of my wife's bridesmaids, and 1 of my groom, one of my ushers. Of those groups, of those 5, 4 of us became first-grade detectives, and 1 became a second-grade detective.
Yeah.
Is that amazing?
That's amazing. And it's a good story because, like you said, you judge by the company you keep. I don't know why we're friends, Ed, because I was a 3rd-grade detective. So maybe if I knew you well, I was on the job.
No, it's just what happened is your talents weren't fully recognized by the supervisors that you worked for.
And it's funny because when I was retiring, when I was leaving, when I officially told him I was leaving, the captain who was there where I worked said, if you stay for another 5 years, we'll put you in for grade. And I said, you're a little too late for that. So
actually, I just remembered something. There was 6. I said 5. There were 6. I forgot about my brother. Okay, and he became a detective.
May he rest in peace.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you, honey. Hush. She says, Duty Ron, you're precious. Well, guess what? You guys are all awesome. And thank you, Ed, for always sharing the stories. We love the stories. If you have any last minute questions, get them in there. Here's a mazel tov coming in from Amy Crew.
Did we give out the memberships?
I did 20.
Okay. All right. Congratulations to you, 20.
Yes. I want to thank everybody for being here. Day 30, day 27 is coming tomorrow, and it's only going to be a half day, unfortunately. But it's going to be a half day, and then Friday, I would assume, should be a full day. But we'll see who's coming on the stand tomorrow. I heard it's going to be the woman who is hanging out with John O'Keefe and everybody at the Waterfall Bar. And who was the other witness that's coming in tomorrow? Supposed to be two witnesses for the defense, and that's all we're going to be seeing from now on. But it is going to be interesting to hear the testimony tomorrow. Hold on a second. Schmitty asked if you could put the leaf blower up for auction and spin the wheel.
Oh, it's my wife's favorite leaf blower. That's not going to happen.
You can't. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank the replay viewers. Most importantly, I want to thank everyone who takes the moment to give us the thumbs up. Ed and I take out this time to be with you guys and to give you our expert opinions on the testimony. We're not lawyers. We're, retired NYPD detectives, and we detect stuff. And I think that for the most part, everyone who's here enjoys our commentary. We enjoy your company as well. And again, we don't take it for granted. You have many choices to watch many different people. So we're honored that you're here. We're humbled, and we thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting. Ed, I know you always have something to say at the end of these things. I'll let you get the last word in.
All right. Thank you, folks, for being here and spending this time with us. Time is valuable. We know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet. There's so much content out there. So thank you again for sharing it. Thank you for spreading the word about us. And always, folks, please stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your six.
Amen to that, brother. Thank you for the $2. We saw today that not all heroes wear capes. And she's referring to the great doctor. I agree 100%. Reality Check threw in another $5. I believe it's going to be on ABC within the next week. So that would be good, or 2020. So we'll look for it and we'll review what he's got to say.
There was a motion by the defense today that about missing witnesses, that the judge, the inference of missing witnesses, why the defense wants the judge to give she wants to tell the jury about the prosecution not bringing in McCabe and Proctor and Higgins. Why they didn't bring them in, and what can be inferred by their not testifying in this case.
Interesting. May, thank you for that comment. Wendy, thank you. And thank you to everyone. Karen Griswold, she's in the chat. Her book is on the way, Ed. The signed book. It's en route. Hopefully she gets it soon. Christy says, I always love when you guys speak the truth. Well, there's nothing. We call the balls and strikes. So again, that's what you're going to get here. There's no fluff. There's no oohs and ahs. Yes, there's an occasional.
You dick.
And there's an occasional.
My French, but you're an asshole.
You know, and we have these sound bites, especially when Ed is.
Stop breathing down my neck.
He's breathing down my neck. I'm going to change these up over the weekend. We're going to put the leaf blower down.
Step away from the leaf blower.
It's in frame too. That leaf blower is in the frame. This is like an Italian goodbye right now. Put it down, Ed. Put it down. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night, and we'll give you our recap tomorrow night. And it's going to be half a day, so it's going to be probably half a recap. God bless. And as I always say, we send prayers, strength, and positive vibes to the victim and his family, the O'Keefes, and also sending strength, prayers, and positive vibes to Karen Reed and her family for a just verdict. It's up to the jury when they get the case and when they go into the deliberation room. It's up to them. They're the fact finders. Our opinions are like, you know what? Everybody's got one. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you. God bless from New York, and good night.